Apple is undoubtedly the biggest company in the world and is famous for its professionalism and high-quality products. But unfortunately, there is a dark side to Apple in which Apple has been involved in many significant controversies. In today's video, we're going to talk about some of the Apple controversies. So sit back, relax, and let's dive into the controversies that highlight the dark side of Apple. Apple itself is an American company, but Apple relies on Taiwanese company Foxconn for the manufacturing of its iPhones and other devices. But because of this company, Apple faced a lot of controversies. Foxconn was accused that the employees in this company do not have basic rights. They are underpaid and overworked, and not treated well. In 2019, China Labor Watch published a detailed report discussing Foxconn and its treatment of workers. The report accused Apple and Foxconn of violating basic labor laws. According to Chinese labor law, no company can hire more than 10% of its actual workforce as temporary staff. But Foxconn blatantly violated this law by hiring more than 10% of temporary staff. According to a report, Apple and Foxconn have hired up to 50% of their staff temporarily. In addition, reports revealed that most of the part-time workers working in the factory are students and they are employed at very low wages. These student workers are forced to work night shifts and overtime in violation of Chinese labor laws. When the news hit the media, the public criticized it, and Apple faced a lot of jeering. Official statements were issued by Apple to resolve the dispute, and Foxconn also tried to resolve the matter with its statements. Apple said it had conducted an investigation and found that the number of temporary workers exceeded our standards and was working with Foxconn to resolve the issue. Apple's official statement said that the issue of workers who had to work overtime during night hours has been resolved, and workers who voluntarily work overtime are rewarded for their hard work. Foxconn released its official statement saying that "We did find evidence that the use of dispatch workers and the number of hours of overtime work carried out by employees, which we have confirmed was always voluntary, was not consistent with company guidelines." In its statement, Foxconn admitted its mistakes and made it clear that the Chinese Labor Watch report was accurate. Referring to the resolution of the matter, Foxconn said that they immediately began a detailed process to ensure that all issues were addressed. After the report, Apple continues to conduct audits and investigations to prevent similar scandals in the future, but sources say that not all issues have been fully resolved yet. But it is hoped that Apple and Foxconn will work together to resolve these issues, and that labor laws will be respected, and that each worker will be rewarded according to their hard work. People using Apple products, especially the iPhone, must have noticed that whenever a new model of iPhone is released or a new update comes out, the old iPhone becomes slower and its performance decreases. But surprisingly, this is not all a coincidence. Apple does this on purpose, and this process is planned obsolescence. In other words, this process is also called throttling, and it is a process of limiting the number of requests a user can make in a certain period. And every new update slows down older iPhones by throttling. Now the question arises here: why Apple deliberately slows down its products? The answer is quite simple and easy. Because if all the old Apple iPhones continue to work at their original performance, the sales of the new models will be drastically reduced because not everyone will need the new model. So, Apple makes the old models almost obsolete through multiple updates, so that everyone is forced to buy a new model, and Apple keeps making money by releasing new models every year. Apple faced a big controversy regarding this planned obsolescence. In 2019, an Italian antitrust authority filed a case against Apple over an aggressive commercial that encouraged the iOS update. The Italian authority said that Apple knew that the upcoming update would severely affect the iPhone 6 series and make the iPhone 6 series almost unusable, but still forced users to install the update. When iPhone 6 series users wanted to install this update, they were not provided with any kind of alert or information about how this update is going to affect their phones. Through these updates, people were misled that their phone's life cycle was about to end and their batteries should be replaced. And a big business was made in this regard. Experts said that not only consumers are affected by planned obsolescence, but it also has a profound effect on the environment. For example, when a new update renders the iPhone 6 completely unusable, it will be no more than trash to consumers, and everyone will throw it in the trash. And thus increasing the amount of electronic waste spoils the environment. While pronouncing the judgment of this case, the Italian Administrative Court imposed a heavy fine of 10 million euros on Apple. And not only Apple had to pay the fine, but also faced severe criticism on the media and social media. But despite the controversies, if you look closely at Apple's policy and updates today, it feels like Apple is still following planned obsolescence. Just as every citizen pays taxes to the country in which he lives, similarly, every company is responsible for paying taxes to the country in which it does business. And being the largest company in the world, this responsibility falls more heavily on Apple to pay taxes. But reports have revealed that Apple, like other companies, has evaded taxes and adopted every possible means of not paying or paying less tax. For tax evasion, Apple transferred most of its profits to tax haven countries so that it has to pay minimum taxes. Tax haven countries are those countries that invite investors to bring their investments to these countries. Then they will have to pay very low taxes. Ireland, Netherlands, Panama, and a few other countries are known as tax haven countries, but Apple chose Ireland for its tax evasion. Apple has had its manufacturing plant in Cork, Ireland since the 1980s, and manufacturing is done from Ireland. In 1989, when Apple's financial data came out, it was found that Apple earned $751 million with a profit of $270 million. And this profit was mostly made through marketing and technology, while a small portion of the profit was made from manufacturing. When it came time to pay taxes, Apple told the Irish government that they were doing their manufacturing in Ireland, so marketing and technology shouldn't be taxed. And if taxed, Apple would leave Ireland and would move to some other country. The Irish government accepted Apple's deal, and Apple now only had to pay 12.5% tax, compared to 21% in the US. After this deal, whatever profit Apple made from India, Europe, or the Middle East was very cleverly transferred to Ireland to save money by paying minimum taxes there. When the European Union investigated the matter, it was found that Apple was cheating the Irish government. Instead of paying 12.5% tax, Apple was paying 0.5% or 1% tax. In 2016, the European Union Commission ruled against Apple that Apple received illegal tax benefits from Ireland and deceived the Irish government. The Commission ordered Apple to pay $15 billion, 13 billion euros, to the Irish government because Apple had cheated the Irish government on tax matters over the years. Apple refused to accept the decision, and Apple's CEO appealed against the decision. Before the decision on the appeal, Apple deposited the fixed amount into escrow funds. But in 2020, the case was decided in favor of Apple and they got their money back. Almost every manufacturing company in the world pollutes the environment in one way or another. But most companies don't care because they only focus on business. But Apple, being the largest company in the world, claims to be the most environmentally friendly company and is often seen taking steps to improve the environment. Apple has claimed on its official website that our commitment to becoming carbon neutral by 2030 drives everything we do. Every Apple product will be made with clean energy and even more recycled and renewable materials, because the Earth won't wait, and neither will we. But contrary to this claim, Apple often faces environmental controversies and is accused of environmental pollution. Let's take a look at these allegations. Apple claims that it has started manufacturing by getting rid of 70% of carbon, but the fact is that cobalt and lithium are used to make the components of many of Apple's electronic devices. But these two components are not only taking human lives, but also having a profound effect on the environment. How? Let's have a look. According to reports, it takes 2.2 million liters of water to produce a single ton of lithium. Yes, you heard that right. 2.2 million liters of water for just 1 ton of lithium. And Apple requires many tons in its manufacturing, and you can imagine how much of the world's water is used in its production. Apart from the environment, it also has a human cost. According to reports, many workers lose their lives while mining these chemicals. Also, as we discussed earlier, Apple's planned obsolescence results in people throwing away old devices that become unusable, and the world's electronic waste is increasing at an alarming rate. Apple has faced several legal cases in this matter, but we hope that Apple will reconsider these steps and adopt environment-friendly manufacturing. Anti-competitive practices are actions taken by businesses or individuals that aim to limit competition in a market or to gain an unfair advantage over competitors. These practices can harm consumers by limiting choice and innovation in the market, leading to higher prices and reduced quality of products and services. And Apple has been accused of engaging in anti-competitive practices and has been sued in several cases. Let's take a look at how Apple practices this. The first method Apple uses for anti-competitive practices is pre-installed applications. In all Apple iOS devices, you will find many pre-installed apps like Safari, Maps, etc. This is done to bury the competition so that people don't prefer another app for this purpose. In addition, Apple takes unfair advantage of Apple Store policies. Apple obligates every developer to distribute apps through the Apple Store and charges a 30% commission on every in-app purchase. And because of this, many developers have to spend more money to get their apps to the users, which not only makes Apple a lot of money, but also makes these apps expensive, and thus Apple kills the competition. Moreover, Apple has banned third-party apps, and apps cannot be installed from anywhere other than the App Store. And this is done so that the App Store is used to deliver any app to Apple users, and Apple can get a 30% commission on it. Apart from this, it has been alleged that Apple has made deals with several app developers, and their apps are given more visibility on the App Store than the competition, and other apps are pushed to the background. Recently, Epic Games, the maker of the Fortnite game, filed a case against Apple for anti-competitive practices. Last year, when the new update of the Fortnite game came out, it gave an option that the user could buy a subscription by paying direct to Epic Games. All this was done to avoid giving Apple a 30% commission. After this move by Epic Games, Apple removed the Fortnite game from its App Store. Epic Games filed a case against Apple against this move, but Apple won the case, and efforts to resolve the dispute between the two companies are ongoing. No device manufacturer in the world can claim that the device never crashes. It is the nature of the machine to crash, but the user always wants the device of the company he is buying to be cheap and easy to repair, so that he does not have to face problems in the future. Apple has been the subject of much criticism and controversy in this regard, because repairing all Apple devices, especially MacBooks, is one of the most difficult and expensive tasks. And this is done by Apple deliberately so that when a device breaks down, it is so difficult to fix it that the user is forced to buy a new device. If you get anything repaired from the Apple Store, their charges are so high that you are left wondering whether to get your old device repaired or buy a new one. Apple uses screws and components in its devices that are difficult to get repaired by a third-party shop, and software is also used to increase this difficulty. For example, while replacing the iPhone screen, the phone starts showing an error message, and then the phone stops working, thus rendering the phone useless and forcing the user to buy a new phone. Apple has been criticized for its repair policy, and this criticism is quite right, because if a person has bought a device at their own expense, then they should not be forced to buy a new device. Apple has always claimed to be the champion of privacy protection and Apple claims that it protects the user's data and information more than any other company in the world. But the reality is quite the opposite. Apple has been involved in many privacy-related controversies, but in today's video, we are discussing two main controversies. iCloud is a cloud-based storage and computing service provided by Apple Inc. It allows users to store and sync data such as photos, videos, music, documents, contacts, and other information across multiple devices, including iPhones, iPads, Macs, and PCs. Apple users believe in the privacy of iCloud and upload their private photos to it. But in 2014, their faith was shattered. In 2014, iCloud security was breached, and as a result, private photos of several high-profile celebrities, including Jennifer Lawrence and Kate Upton, were leaked to the general public. After this incident, Apple was heavily criticized on social media, and its claim of privacy protection was mocked. In response, Apple issued a statement admitting the security breach and promised users that their privacy will not face any such threat in the future. On the other hand, Apple claimed that it keeps user data completely private, but the reality is the opposite because Apple provides this data to law enforcement agencies. Apple counters that this data is only provided to organizations when there is an urgent request, but the data facts and figures say otherwise. A report released in 2022 reveals that whenever a law enforcement organization requests data from Apple, 90 times out of 100, Apple provides it. During this period, Apple was requested to provide the personal data of people 7,122 times, of which Apple rejected or challenged only 261 requests, while following all other requests, people's data was provided. An interesting incident happened in 2016 when a terrorist who was an iPhone user was caught. The court ordered Apple to unlock his iPhone and give it to the court to access his data, but Apple refused. The reason given is that it is against his privacy. But a 2022 report disproved Apple's privacy claim, and as a result, people began to lose faith in Apple's privacy. In summary, it's important to recognize that these controversies are not unique to Apple, and many other technology companies face similar challenges in today's rapidly evolving digital landscape. Hopefully, Apple will work on the loopholes in its privacy protections and try to improve privacy. But the indignity resulting from these controversies will haunt Apple for years to come. That's it for today's video. If you liked the video, then give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Let us know what you think about this dark side of Apple, and which Apple devices you use in the comments. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.